This week's episode is brought to you by Blue Harvest Vintage. Are you a collector? Blue Harvest love to help you find that missing piece you need to complete your collection. They have extensive stock of vintage Star Wars vehicles and mint-on-card action figures, as well as new The Force Awakens and Black Series items. Blue Harvest have Funko Pops, Lego, Dinky, Corgi, Matchbox and more. Everything a collector could possibly need. If they don't stock it, then let them know, and their knowledgeable staff will be only too pleased to help. Head to Morley Market in Leeds to see the life-size Darth Vader. Alternatively, reach out to Blue Harvest on Twitter at Blue Harvest UK, Facebook, Blue Harvest Vintage Collectibles, a website, blueharvestvintage.co.uk, or email at blueharvesttoys@gmail.com.
Talk Star Wars is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Follow at SW Commonwealth on Twitter and take your first steps into a larger world.
Welcome to TSW After Darkside, a fully armed and uncensored podcast platform.
Well, do you know there are two people at work in their 20s that never seen Aliens or Terminator 2, and they're film buffs.
Well,
sack them.
I would question
Fucking vile.
I would question that last statement. They're film buffs and they haven't watched those
Well,
films.
exactly. They were true art form.
Don't say it.
Too late.
I was waiting for you to ask me about it because you keep calling me a film buff. I was wondering if you were going to ask me if I'd seen them. No, I'm not. I've seen them though. But I did. To be fair, I didn't see them.
You're beautiful.
I didn't
seen
see
a film
them.
in the buff.
No, I'm not.
I didn't see them until I was quite. I mean, some of my friends saw them when they were like 7 or 8. But I was about 13 before I started seeing 18-rated films.
Bloody hell.
It's just one of those things I never really got into, I guess.
Was you scared?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. Just asking.
Yeah.
You can be scared. I'll hold you.
I know. No, there's films that scared me when I was younger, but I don't recall them. Maybe Aliens, but I don't recall Terminator 2 ever scaring me.
Okay. Yeah, no, Terminator 2 didn't. Aliens did when I used to watch that.
Terminator 2, it's got a rather heavy nuclear war scene, which scared the crap out of me.
I need to wind Paul up and let him go.
Oh, yeah, right, okay.
No, I can't if I can be bothered. I think Paul and I had a very good conversation while we were walking through London with our arms in the air. And we were on a vigil for Taji, anti-dolphin, because they're killing 300,000 dolphins this year.
You're anti-dolphin, nice. You piece of shit.
Anti-Taji. The dolphin slaughter. But please do. Are we on Darkside now? We're getting recorded, Mark.
You did that already.
Steve, I just called you a piece of shit. I think we're on Darkside.
Yeah. I have been recording for 1 minute and 57 seconds.
Right. So Google Taji, Taiji, or Sea Shepherd or the Dolphin Project, and Taji, I don't know how you say it, but look at what's going on there. They're killing dolphins left, right, and centre. Paul and I went on a vigil march. Demo, whatever you want to call it, and we discussed.
That was effective.
It's seasonal.
Yeah.
No, they haven't stopped. They're going out tonight. The banger boats have gone out tonight. They caught 30 dolphins today and slaughtered them, and they're just off it out now, literally as we talk, because you can watch the live feeds. I've been having a look. Yeah. Have a look on Twitter. If you watch Sea Shepherd, Paul, if you follow Sea Shepherd on Twitter, they'll show you them. But they've gone out tonight trying to rustle up a pod. But they are vile, disgusting, and despicable, and unless we stand up to them, nothing's going to change. But anyway, Paul and I had lots of time to talk, and we were talking about how, like it or not, and Mark and Rob don't agree, and I don't blame them, because that's why we're here, because we're different. We're here because we don't.
You are
think
affirmative
that
action
Star
hires,
Wars is anything other than a corporate entity to make money now. Even though it's a good film, and the films are very watchable and they're enjoyable, then you can't compare them with, even if you like it or don't, films like Avatar, where James Cameron would tell a studio to fuck off.
I have
tried to interfere.
A counterpoint to this. It's only a minor one.
Go on.
I don't think any filmmaker can announce 5 movies in a series without an idea in their head of where the plot's going. I don't think he does. Of course he does.
They're all written. They're all written.
I don't know. I'm not so sure about that.
Well, he's writing number 5 now. He's just the 2, 3, and 4 are all written and done, and all the sets are done. and designed and everything. They're ready for non-stop filming now until 2022.
I don't know
something like that.
But
No.
But they're just. He said he's just starting to flesh out now. He's got the rough outline for 5, but he's fleshing it out now and writing the script. I mean, I don't know. James Cameron wouldn't lie. He's not into that. He doesn't need to, does he? He's like probably a billionaire. But
he's probably pretty rich, I'd say.
My biggest...
It has to be if he's going to finance his films himself.
Yeah, well, quite. If he's an auteur, he can't get a studio involved, surely.
No, you can't take money from them.
Involved.
No, they can't. They can't be though, Steve, because he's an auteur, right? He wouldn't go to a money grabbing studio.
No, he might need
twiddling
the money,
their
but he won't
moustaches
have
and
their input.
tying maidens to train.
I think if you take somebody's money to that
degree, do you think Renoir made his own canvas, or did he buy it from a shop?
They reused a lot of their canvases.
Shut up, mate. Is
Cameron building his own cameras then?
The point
is that where the cam comes from in Cameron? Because he builds his own fucking cam. This guy is Jesus.
Paul,
he's like film Jesus.
Because Mark and Rob are being arbitrary, and that's the first sign that they've lost the argument.
Oh, come on.
No reason behind their arguments.
Not sure that's true.
Yeah.
Right. The point is, Cameron is not going to have that studio saying, we don't like that person dying there, or can you put a couple of Asians in it so we can sell it in China? Because he would tell them to fuck off. And that's the only point I was trying to make. That film is his art form, whether you like it or not. Would you agree, Paul?
Right. I might actually speak now.
Yeah, I need you to, because I'm done. I
love, incidentally, that he was like, I'll bring Paul on, get his point of view, and then just proceeds to steamroll over your face for 10 minutes.
No one stops. My biggest single passion for Cameron, and why I think he's the most important thing about cinema at the moment, is because he's not scared to be groundbreaking. He's not scared to take longer if it makes the perfect production, the best set. Invent something if it doesn't exist. That's my entire point, Cameron. He takes risks no one else is prepared to, but he can talk a studio into going, this is the right direction, trust me. I mean, to build an exact replica of 75% of the Titanic, to sell a movie about something we all knew about, that's never going to work. But hell, if you put the investment and the time and the imagination to it, it will, and it'll become the biggest movie ever made. That's why I like Cameron. He's adventurous, he's brave, and he does give the finger often to corporate entities, and they normally come back to him because they're like, there's billions of dollars here, we can't let this go, we've got to trust him, and people should trust him more. So I mean, a lot of talk about, I'm reading masses of talk about nobody's going to care about Avatar 2. Right. I think that's going to change, because I think people have got very short memories. The buzz for Avatar when it came out was ridiculous. Whether it was in 2D, 3D, 5D, 10D or 12D, people were talking about nothing else.
Are you thinking this is where they'll launch 12D?
Well, maybe 14D if Cameron gets his way. But the fact is, I think people have got somewhat selective and short memories. A lot of the stuff I've been reading lately, because I've been following the Avatar 2, 3 and 4 stuff quite a bit now. And it was an Oscar blitz. I mean, it was almost a foregone conclusion until Hurt Locker came out. And everyone was like, it deserves it. It was overwhelming. It was an experience. People came out with their jaws on the floor. And so many people are not remembering that. I
saw it on Blu-ray and I did not have that impression at all. So I take your point. I mean, I do sometimes feel like I missed out by not seeing Avatar at the cinema, because it does feel like a cinema movie.
No, I mean, I would have. I didn't like it on 3D as much. So that
I don't watch 3D.
Well,
so for me,
I forgot the 3D. So the 3D for me wasn't even a factor. But the work that went into that film,
the attention,
just the work and attention to detail and so on. And everyone says it's got a second-rate script. I thought it had a very, very, very important script, to be honest.
Really the first-rate script. It just had it from a different film. Because it's incredibly derivative of, the common one is Ferngully, which is a cartoon, admittedly. So there's certain comparisons obviously can't be drawn.
You could say Avatar was a high-grade cartoon.
Oh yeah, I mean you can make that argument. I think that's not without merit.
But taking that on board, then probably 95% of the people that saw Avatar don't even know what Ferngully is.
Okay.
So possibly. I mean, from a story parallel, that's I don't think I'm going to draw anything there. I mean, I know there was the other one called A Guy Named Joe, that 1950s book, which I mean, to be honest, when you look at it at face value, you're like, that is interesting. But Christ, 85% of the movies out there are just other versions of other movies.
Yeah. Sure.
But it was just the invention of it, the sets, the detail, the love, the passion. That's why I'm always interested in see what Cameron does next. And so I'm really keen to see what Avatar does, to be honest.
I want it to do well, don't get me wrong. I mean, ultimately, it's good, good competition is strong, makes for a strong industry. That's just a fact of life. The best businesses are the ones that have had good competition to bring the best out of them. And obviously, as a result, who does well? Consumers, because they have better products as a result.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care about if
at the same time, you just want to have a nice story told to you as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all about, that's the difference between Star Wars and Avatar. Star Wars, it wants to be the biggest earner. Like, what does it matter? If, everyone raves about Birdman, which I saw for the first time recently, which I thought was amazing, but I don't think it was like a huge...
I think that's quite a subjective point, though, Steve, because I've never seen that as part of Lucasfilm's manifesto to make the biggest film or the best film.
No, it's part of Disney's.
Also,
is it? I've never seen that. I've never seen Bob Iger say that
to make
either.
Money, they've just spent $5 billion. They got to make money.
But every company that has a penny invested in Avatar only want to make money, Steve.
Of course they do. That's the point. Is that in order to make that money, they get desperate and they interfere and they go, "Oh, we've got to do this. Can we make it that way? Can we get a director that does this our way?"
I would be very surprised if Disney has that much influence on Lucasfilm's choice of director. I find that hard to believe.
Well, all right, let's say Lucasfilm then. Lucasfilm are owned by Disney. The point I'm making is there's meddling left, right, and centre. And you end up with a film like The Force Awakens, which isn't it's just like a rehash, lazy film it's all over the place. And I just the more I watch it, the less I like it. And I did go for a period where I kind of liked it, but then I thought, you know what, I don't really. I'm just trying to jump on board with everyone else.
Was there a point out of interest over the weekend where you and Paul collided at speed? Because it seems like you've come out of the weekend saying fuck Star Wars, and Paul's come out of it talking about Avatar in front of me for the first time ever. And I just feel like
Paul's
you guys collided.
Avatar.
I'm sure he has, but it's just the first time I've ever heard you mention it with a great degree of enthusiasm. I'm just wondering if you guys just collided and just
we thought it would be a good
imbibed.
topic.
And there was lightning. It's like a Freaky Friday type.
Said this would be a great topic for Darkside because it's contentious.
I think actually we were talking about dolphins. And then we were talking about underwater. And then we thought, Avatar 2 is underwater. And then we started talking about Avatar. And then we started talking about the making and everything else and the invention. And it went from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing is, these things can exist alongside each other. You don't have to tear Star Wars down because suddenly Avatar's flavour of the month.
Down. We're using Star Wars as an analogy, probably inappropriately.
One of the most popular films of all time, a big pile of...
It's not a pile. They both do exactly the same thing, though. They take corporate money in order to make corporations money so that they can produce their art.
Yeah, I don't mind Avatar making money or Star Wars making money. It's what the result is.
Right.
And like you Avatar makes money because you've got an artist who makes his picture and no one else puts the paintbrush on the canvas. Star Wars has got 1,000 people putting the paintbrush on the canvas, and you end up with a Picasso and not a Turner.
But Steve, that's factually inaccurate. That's absolutely factually inaccurate.
Incredibly idealized view of what James Cameron's filmmaking process is compared to how a Star Wars movie's made. I think that is.
It's not 1,000 people. You might get Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams that made. Lawrence Kasdan and J.J. Abrams wrote The Force Awakens, and J.J. directed it.
Didn't Rogue One, the first cut, go to Disney and they pulled it apart?
No. It went to reshoots, and that's all we know.
Because Disney didn't like it.
You don't know that, Steve.
That's literally
you're drawing that conclusion.
Why else would
because it suits your narrative
remake his own film?
He didn't remake it. He reshot certain bits.
Yeah, after Disney saw the cut and felt it was too.
Mark, is Kennedy Disney or is she Lucas?
She's Lucasfilm, president of Lucasfilm.
Yeah, she's Lucasfilm. And
once they got the film into the edit suite, they realised they needed to make changes.
You can't sometimes...
Which is true of most films.
Absolutely. And Steve, as somebody who's published video content and audio content and stuff, sometimes you need a cut to see what might be glaring obvious once you've actually got it in front of you. But sometimes you need that kind of working rough copy just to see, oh, blimey, that doesn't really work as much as I thought.
And Jesus Cameron released 3 versions of Avatar because he couldn't get the cut that he wanted out.
Well, no, it was too long for the cinema, and even he said that. He said, "I've got to cut it down."
The second and third releases didn't come out free. They didn't come out free, did they?
No, but I don't mind anyone making money.
Well,
I've no problem
with
that.
Steve
minded.
All right, yeah, fair enough.
I'm finding it very hard to concentrate when the Paul has posted a picture of 2 Barbie dolls pooing on each other.
You only just seen that?
Yes, and it's made me hungry for cupcake.
Oh, goodness me. I'm so glad that I'm in GarageBand at the moment and not looking at the feed.
Steve, I definitely think you've romanticised it in that case then. You're saying that...
Hang on, don't say Steve anymore, because my throat hurts from talking. Bring Paul in on it.
Sorry, no, just where were we just now? Because something just clicked in my head, and while we did
you
the 2
were
girls...
saying how you totally agreed that Star Wars is a mishmash, weird bastard child of loads of people, and Avatar is a true.
No, that's absolutely right. So actually, you've undone your own argument here. So what you were saying just now is that.
What about the girls and the cupcakes?
No, that's not the film I'm talking about. James Cameron released a cut to the cinema that wasn't the movie he wanted to make.
No.
Yes, he did.
He made the movie he wanted to make, and then he said, "Right, they can only get 3 showings a day in this, but they can do 4." So, understandably,
that's a very corporate
do that.
move.
Then we'll release a 16
that's
minute longer. Then we'll do
get more showings in. That's more money, isn't it?
No, I'll tell you what that is. That's you reaching for an argument.
Your whole argument is built on this very thing, Steve.
Paul, if I'm to do this on my own after our discussion, then I'm out of here.
That discussion didn't go down this road.
Paul, sorry, not Paul. Steve, you are reaching like a telegraph engineer. Give me a break.
The point you're making, Steve. The point you're making is absolutely valid, Steve.
Yeah.
The point you're making is valid. You prefer an auteur filmmaker, and you're willing to overlook his corporate leanings in order to appease yourself with that.
No, in order for him to make the film he wants to make,
and
we want to see. You can't. I guess put it like this, right? You cannot put any of the recent Star Wars films, and I'm going to give, Rogue One or Force Awakens, up against any of Cameron's films. Not one of them. They're not even in the same league.
Piranha?
I knew you were going to say that.
I'd take Piranha as well.
Then you've clearly had a stroke, sir, and you need your wife to take you to the hospital.
I'm talking about the blockbusters.
You are a fucking
Steve,
mental.
Do you know where we are?
No, the blockbusters. You know what I'm talking about. Terminator 2, The Abyss, Avatar, the Aliens, those huckleberries. They are in a different league to Star Wars. If I watch Star Wars once, I'm done for another year, and then if it comes on TV, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll watch it again. I could watch Aliens, turn it off, and watch it again.
I'm not going
straight away.
I'm not going to knock James Cameron's cinematic world. I think he makes awesome movies. I will say he did go on record as saying that Terminator Genesis was amazing. So I don't know if I trust his judgment every single.
No, he didn't say it was amazing. He said it was the true 3rd edition of Terminator.
And he also said, "I'm not going to take any royalties for it whatsoever because I'm an auteur. I don't want your money. I want to reuse my canvases."
There's nothing wrong with making money. I don't agree with that. Even artists need to make money, don't they? There's nothing wrong with that.
And so
if you're making money and making...
So the corporations that are chucking $200 million at a time at a project.
It's whether they interfere or not. That's the point.
But you're assuming that they interfere, Steve. But
I know we haven't got proof, but
what you're writing off as interference is the creative process, isn't it? It's about people coming together and saying, look, this might not be the best way to do something.
Yeah, but you end up with a film like Force Awakens that's just a rehash of A New Hope.
And is one of the highest grossing movies of all time.
It's a good movie. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's no better.
Avatar's a good movie, but you can write that off as being a retread of Dances with Wolves. It's the white guilt movie. It's Fern Gully in outer space. It's Cameron's typical jingoism. Still a great movie. Yeah.
Look, at some point tonight, you've got to tell me what jingoism means.
Jingoism, right? I'll look it up for you, Steve, while we're talking.
Well, you don't know.
It's a bombastic use of.
I did.
It's a bombastic use of propaganda. It's him propagandizing his own movies. Even his hero has to be the human that actually integrates himself into the society that he's just settled on.
Becomes one of the natives.
Becomes the best one of the natives. Not just becomes one of the natives, becomes the bloody best. It's Tom Cruise in Last Samurai.
He's a white supremacist.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's a completely different thing. It's the white guilt.
Distance runner.
It's him feeling that he needs to make this story about that character, learning about the values, instead of letting the indigenous race rise up and take back their land themselves and take ownership of their own destiny. They had to be saved by the white guy that had sympathy for them. Well, that's what the white guilt story is.
No, that was so that they could incorporate visually incorporate a human into the cartoon. So that was the crossover. Otherwise, it would have just been a cartoon. The beauty of Avatar is you see human forms mixed in with the blue Smurfs.
We could have had that. We could have just had the bad guys as the human forms, and we could have seen our hero could have been one of the cat people.
Yeah, but it's all about how
who saved his own race of people.
Doesn't like them and falls in love with them. He fell in love with the people.
Yeah, that's the white guilt story.
I don't think he wrote there thinking, "Oh, I need a white guy in this." It just happens that, like, a human being is often white. And that's the one he chose. I mean, but he could have had. In the show.
Don't get me wrong. He could have that lead character could have been an African American actor. It could have been an Asian actor, but it would have been the same thing. It would have been the taking of the alien race that came and settled on the indigenous race and destroyed it. And one of those characters, feeling sympathy for them, integrates himself completely and utterly and becomes the best one of the lot and saves the day, rather than allowing the indigenous race to take their destiny into their own hands.
What do you think, Paul?
I don't know. I've only now ever seen a comparison between that and, like you just said, Dances with Wolves. And like you say, it's the whole immersion into the atmosphere situation, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's it's not an evil thing. It's it's showing that hero is showing that your hero has compassion for the situation he's in.
Yeah, but it's like you said, it's done in nearly every story to some degree as well, though, isn't it?
There's a lot of them like it, for sure.
Finn.
Finn.
You can use it, but
exactly the same.
I'm not picking on Star Wars here. They're just the two that immediately came to mind. But I'm trying to transverse it across all sorts of other films. I mean, it's probably somewhere in the Marvel situation somewhere. It's virtually every story's got that element to a degree.
I think you could definitely find examples of it if you looked for them. Yeah.
In Star Wars, it would be like Obi-Wan Kenobi joining the Jawas and becoming the best Jawa and then saving the Jawas. That is basically the comparison.
Rising up to take down the Tuskens. I love it.
What I should have done is not use Star Wars, but I wanted to use Star Wars because this is a Star Wars podcast. But
you're last.
I shouldn't have used Star Wars because you two are blinded by Star Wars.
Oh, Steve!
No, Steve, and I think that door might be swinging the other way. I think that
you are projecting like a cinema, sunshine.
You wanted to take take a few shots at Star Wars tonight. That's what it was, Steve. You wanted to take a few shots at Star Wars tonight, and you're using Avatar.
I think sometimes
as a way to do it.
You have to temper an even ground, don't you? Sometimes, and Paul and I
don't know if that's even an actual sentence.
But it should be, because like when you temper metal, you have to temper it and find your level again, so that you can start off and not be blinded by.
I made no secret, when I came out of TFA, when I saw Mark, I actually bumped into Mark about 3:00 in the morning. I think you were just getting ready to go and watch it.
I was just going in,
and I think you said to me, "What do you think of it?" And I just said to you something like. It was everything I was expecting, and I said it with a bit of a grimace in my face, if I recall.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say any more to you, sort of thing. And then next day, or 2 days later, when you'd actually seen it, I just said to you, and I said this for the longest time, it's like I'd just seen it all before, and I was really let down by the experience. It's like there was no imagination. There didn't seem to be, as much as every little podcast or every little advert that JJ was giving us about the love and the passion. Well, the product I saw, I was like, I think you love Star Wars, but I don't think you loved making a Star Wars movie. I couldn't quite word it because to me there wasn't the drive and the push and the imagination. But like you said, no, they had to go on a bit of a semi-reboot in order to keep the new guys on, keep the old boys on board and get the new guys in, and that's the reason they went in that way. But I just felt like I was sold a bit of a duffer. But I gave everybody that line for the longest time, and then I had to almost just take it for what I saw, which is what you said to me. I had to take it for what I saw, and when I did that, and I just literally watched it for fun, okay, from that point of view, I did enjoy it, but I felt like I was sold a bit of a duffer on TFA for the longest time.
Yeah, I think that
I saw Rogue One. Common... And it was like, Rogue One for me was an absolute. It was a stonker. I loved it.
I loved it.
but it comes and goes. It's like we all talk about the trilogy, the prequels, and they're all bloody awful, frankly.
Rogue One was in a different league to The Force Awakens for me.
But,
I like the Rogue One a lot more than The Force Awakens. I'll agree with you on that much.
I turned over Now TV the other day and Empire was on. I stopped turning channels.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that would have that effect on me as well. But even though
my problem is storytelling, and very few people are doing it at the moment. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So let me see if I've got this right. I'm struggling with this one. So what's the issue with the prequels, Paul? What's the issue with the prequels?
For me, very little romance. Basically.
You like the romance bit?
Too technological. I'm a bit oldie-worldy, mate.
Not romance as in like a couple romancing
love,
each other.
Romantic. I mean, the more traditional story.
Right.
Too much politics.
But it can be overwhelming. Actually, the thing is with the prequels, I know it was semi-required, but there was a ridiculous amount of politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was curious because I just don't think I've ever heard your reasons. That's all. I was just curious.
Don't know if I've ever really given them. I've just always said I was never a fan of prequels.
I definitely have problems with the prequels. I don't hate them like most people. I like the first one. I like the third one.
I think I like the second one, if I recall. I'm sure I like the second one. Is the second one with the silly arena with the animals they were riding?
Yeah, that's my least favourite.
It's my least favourite of the Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I'm alone again. I like that one.
Well, I mean, the way I sort of describe it, because I was getting some stick from Jeremy and the Rogue Squadron guys the other day on Twitter about this. They said, why is Episode 7 so low on your list? And I said, because although I love all the Star Wars movies, that's one of the ones I like less than the others. That's all it is. That is literally all it comes down to. I love the other ones more. And that's a simple... That's it.
Yeah.
Problem they have is Star Wars. In a nutshell, if you can understand where I'm coming from, the problem they have is Star Wars.
I feel like I need a slightly more explanation for that one because
it was almost perfect storytelling.
What, the original Star Wars 77?
I know it stole so much stuff. Knights of the Round Table, Old Knights of the Realm, Farm Boy does well, but who cares? It was just beautiful. It was beautiful, and it was beauty attached to effects, attached to excitement. And nobody had done it, and it just hit the nail perfectly.
Paul,
it was one hit, and it's gone right in the wood. And the problem, everything else is going to have from that is because of Star Wars. That's the thing.
It was way ahead of its time.
Ridiculously.
That's how I felt when I watched
Empire.
Aliens.
Held it together from a story point of view because, as people, generally we like looking on the downer, and it's kind of exciting, and it's mysterious, and it's dark. So Empire fulfilled that gap for everybody, but it still wasn't Star Wars, sort of thing. I mean, Empire is most people's favourite film because it was the exciting one of two. I don't even count it very much, to be honest.
I mean, do you really think these people, remember when we were 7 and 8 and we came out of Star Wars, it was like there was magic in the world.
Yeah.
The magic actually existed. Like, I don't know any kid that's come out of The Force Awakens and felt, because they're already bombarded with Avengers and Transformers and God knows what else, and the pirate films, and they've seen all the effects before. You know what I mean? It's not, that magic is gone, and I think maybe that's what it is. We can never get that back, not to the same level.
Well, you'll never be a 5-year-old boy seeing that film again.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying me.
Yeah, that's another one of the
I
problems.
don't see anyone else feeling about it the way I felt. There's not as much.
Well, my nephew loves these new Star Wars films, and I know Jeremy's little boy, I know he's bowled over by it, and it's the expanded storytelling as well, that they're all getting caught up in that with Rebels, and they still get Star Wars on the small screen when they, every now and then they're getting it on the big screen. So I think they do. I just don't think you're seeing it Steve. I think you're seeing.
Well, we've gone off track a bit. I'm now filling space. Really, the point is that I was right and you and Rob are wrong.
That's right. Our opinions are.
So, in terms of the story makers, who's the story maker there?
Paul.
I
guess this is for Paul because I know your answers. If I could only watch 5 films over and over again, and that was my torture, it would be the 5 Cameron films. Like even
torture.
Is that if I was tortured by watching the same movie over and over again, and I could choose them, I would. You obviously
can't choose torture, you pillock.
No, but they're saying to me they're stupid torturers. All right, they don't know what they're doing. They've never done this before. Like. You choose. It's a bit like saying which woman do you want to shag forever.
I think you're aiming more of a Desert Island Movies situation, yeah?
Yeah, yes. I think that's what you mean more than. I'd rather you pulled my toenails out, please.
No. Can I watch Avatar?
But on Blu-ray, so I don't get the full effect.
And I love the fact that his stories are so good that even the crap that's on the cutting room floor makes for a better movie. May I say it, the Abyss Extended Edition, Terminator 2 Extended Edition.
The story of Avatar is so good that the people who made Fern Gully did it 10 years before. They were so inspired by his example.
James Cameron did the outline for that when he was he 17? So it's probably before Fern Gully was even conceived.
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't think he'd lie about it.
Actually, I wrote that. I wrote the treatment for that film when I was 2. See, I can say it as well.
Yeah,
I was 2
now
before
it's becoming
you, Mark,
and
I wrote the basis for the treatment.
This is the problem you've got, right? You keep saying that we're bashing Cameron. We're not. What we're bashing is your argument because it's fallacious. It's apropos.
Does that mean it wants to suck itself off?
No.
Oh, okay. Just to be clear,
it's more than
Steve
one
does.
as well. Like I say, I'm not knocking Cameron. I think he's done some amazing films. His films, many of his films are in my favourites of all time. But this is not to say that Avatar is a perfect movie. And I say it loses a lot for the home release.
You've missed what Paul and I have said.
No,
completely. We're not saying it's a perfect movie or it shouldn't make money.
But the Abyss is close.
We're saying that it's a true movie. It's somebody has got an idea and they make it themselves, and that they don't sway from that line.
You are assuming again that there's no influence, there's nobody twisting his ear, and that everybody is doing it at Disney.
I would put money on the fact that Cameron does not. He was almost sued on Titanic and told that that they were going to take him to court and shut it down. And he said, "You will give me." What is it, 10 million? And
he did quit, didn't he?
So hang on, let me see if I've got this right. He used a Jedi mind trick to get 10 million extra.
Yes.
So he respects Star Wars.
The point is, you couldn't get someone like that wouldn't do that to Disney because they just go, "Don't care, we'll get another director. It's only it's only a film. We've got a script.
I don't
doesn't
think
matter." True. And they'd say it in a South London accent too.
Do me a lemon, sunshine, get out.
I do. Anyway. I think you're saying what you want to hear, Steve, and I think I think we completely
want to hear.
We completely agree with you that you can enjoy an auteur filmmaker's work more than you enjoy Star Wars. There's absolutely no hard and fast rules there, but you're taking a lot of leaps when you're saying that Disney interfered with everything that happened on Star Wars and that Cameron's making those Avatar films on his own because he ain't.
If somebody said you've got £100, you have to put it on one or the other. I wouldn't bet on Cameron. I would bet on Disney interfering. There's no way Cameron had any interference on any of his movies.
Oh, here we go. So actually, Steve is half right about that budget thing. So when the studio became concerned at how much over budget the movie was running, James Cameron forfeited his director's salary and his percentage of the gross. So actually, he just said, "I don't need the money. I'm all right."
Rob, so can you contextualise that statement for me, please, with the qualifier multi-millionaire James Cameron waived his fee.
But you two are using a money argument.
Billionaire James Cameron waived his fee.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that. So why are you having a pop at Disney?
I'm talking about him making his art. It doesn't matter how much money he's got. I'm talking about the fact we're talking about film as creating magical films where the original idea has been stuck to its guns and it's made and it's not deviated from the path that the artist wanted to make.
That he's talked about.
if there's one director that doesn't do it, it's Ridley Scott and there's James Cameron.
So there's
two directors.
Probably Christopher Nolan.
If there's one director who does it, it's two.
No,
Objection.
there's probably a few, isn't there? Christopher Nolan, you'd never see him making a Star Wars film. You'd say, no, I want to make my films, not someone else's.
Stop him doing Batman. Batfleck's walked out, isn't he?
Yeah, there is that. Yeah.
Anyway,
that was a turnip.
Ooh.
Yeah, right. I'm going to need to. We're going to need to stick a pin in this because it's getting late and I've got some editing to do.
Yeah, we also don't seem to be getting anywhere. So there's that.
Well, there was nowhere to get, was there? Because it's a subjective argument. There is no.
Point. It's just like this
is
what
no right or wrong.
Subjective.
Let Paul have the last word because he said the least.
All right,
go on, Paul. You finish it off.
Whatever happens, it's up to us. Us.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks for that. Anything? Brilliant. Thanks for helping me with that argument. Fantastic.
You can't win a subjective argument, Steve.
No, I'm not trying to win it. I'm just trying to prove that they've lost.
That's brilliant. Join us on the Mentalist Roadshow again when we breeze into an asylum near you. I'm Talk Star Wars on Twitter. And this lot are other people on Twitter. See you next week.
Bye.